This episode of Epic Thoughts is brought to you in part by StreamYard. Yo, you've been talking about doing a podcast forever and you don't know where to start. I get that. Yo, StreamYard is here to help you. StreamYard does everything for you. It sends it to all the places that you want the podcast to go. If you have an RTTP, it'll send it to it. You have a YouTube channel, it'll send it to it. You have a Facebook, it'll send it to it. As a matter of fact, you can even go live on your computer and send it directly to where you need it to go. You can also have audio and video downloads so you can send it to your Spotify page. It does everything for you. It has video assets. You can add videos. You can even add media now. You can add text. You can add scrolling text. You can do so many different things. The list goes on and on and on. StreamYard is here to help you take your podcast to the next level. Hey, here at Epic Thoughts and Heritage Park, we use StreamYard for everything on our podcast. And so, listen, I'm telling you, it's easy to use and it's great to use. So be a part of the team. Join StreamYard today. Click the link in the description and get started. All right? God bless. Noah was crazy until he wasn't. This is Epic Thoughts. It's Epic Thoughts on a Wednesday. Epic Thoughts on the Wednesday, y'all. I said it's Epic Thoughts on a Wednesday. Epic Thoughts on a Wednesday, y'all. It's Epic Thoughts on a Wednesday. Epic Thoughts on a Wednesday, y'all. It's Epic Thoughts on a Wednesday. Epic Thoughts on a Wednesday, y'all. Burr, burr, burr. I have to make my noises because Anthony still has not replaced my buzzard. He said he did, but I haven't seen it yet. Anyways, it's time for another episode of Epic Thoughts. I'm your host, Roman. I'm excited that you are here with us. And man, you could be watching anybody's podcast, but you're watching mine. So for the 7 people who've been watching it lately, thank you very much. You 7 people, you gorgeous individuals, you. I appreciate you so much. And I probably know all 7 of you personally. So I'm just going to keep doing it. People ask, hey, bro, how long are you going to keep doing that podcast thing? You know what? I was doing it before everyone did it, and I'm going to do it after everyone does it. So that's just how it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? Our first podcast, our first Epic Thoughts was 2016, bro. No, wasn't it? I'm sorry. Yeah, we did our first show 2016, and then we went full out 2017. And it's been the same since. And we, since the departure of some people, we've gone down. We've gone down a lot, actually. But that's okay. We keep moving up. We keep moving forward, and we keep hustling. Listen, you got to keep doing what you're supposed to do. You got to keep doing what you're called to do. You got to keep following your purpose. People will look at you crazy, but as you keep persevering, and you keep going, you keep grinding, you keep hustling this thing out, eventually one of 2 things are going to happen. You're going to look crazy. You're going to look crazy, but that's okay. Or you're going to have breakthrough, right? There's how many people, you have no idea. You could be one last phone call away or one last step, or tomorrow can be that day. I always kind of hustle because I always think tomorrow could be the day everything changes. Sometimes you should quit, but that's just not in my nature. It's just not in my nature. So to the 7 people, and I like doing this. I like doing the podcast. It's fun. So to the 7 to 12 people who watch my podcast weekly, depending on the topics, because, when I talk about other people, it's crazy. Those go viral. I do have a couple that's thousands and hundreds and thousands of stuff of listeners because I'm talking about stuff that, I'm gossiping. I guess if you hang on to your laurels, I don't want to be one of those podcasts that we just talk gossip and stuff like that. But, it is what it is. It is what it is. So for the 7 people who've been lifelong supporters, thank you. Like I said, it's Epic Thoughts today on a Wednesday. If you're watching this on YouTube, what up? I'm so glad you guys are here. Or Facebook, what up? I'm glad you're here today. Yo, that my joke for the day was pretty interesting, right? Everyone thought Noah was crazy until he wasn't. You ever felt that way? You ever felt like you've lost it? You've lost your marbles? You ever, sometimes following God makes you feel like you've lost it. Makes you feel like I have, I don't know who needs to hear this today, but they've come to the point where they're like, yo, I feel like I'm completely lost my marbles. I'm like, even Christians have security blankets. Like some Christians are so practical. They're Christians, but they're very practical Christians. Like, you need to have this in place and this in place. And you probably one of those people like me. You have none of those things in place. You're just like, I'm just believing God at this point. I'm out here. I started this business or I started this ministry, and I just, with a good attitude and whatever is in my pocket financially, I put my future on the altar. I've done this, I've done that, and you know what? And it may feel at a time that those things just did not matter or it doesn't work out for you or whatever. I just want to let you know and encourage you that you're, first of all, you're not alone. There's many people who are going through that with you, going through that journey with you. And second of all, God sees you. God sees you. And I know how it feels. I know how it feels when people laugh at you. Like they laughed at Noah. They was like, bruh, what are you building? You're building a boat. Why are you building a boat? That don't make no sense. What you mean rain? What's rain? Like they had no idea what rain was. You know, they got their condensation from the ground coming up. They didn't come from the ground. They didn't come from the sky. It came from the ground up. That's how they got their water for their vegetation. So they had no concept of rain. And basically, neither did Noah. Noah was like, I'm just repeating what I heard. And sometimes following God, you get in this state of where it looks crazy. I know some of you are like, well, I've been following you. I've been following God for a long time, and I just look crazy. Hey, you know what? Continue to look crazy, I guess. You gotta look crazy. Faith sometimes puts you in a position where to the world and to the people around you, we just look like delusional people, right? Even in this journey right now, I'm in the studio, it's just me and my engineer who, doesn't want to be mentioned in any podcast, which is weird. And I'm just in a room talking to him, but at the same time, I'm talking to a camera. And I don't know if every podcast, I've done hundreds of them now, hundreds. And I don't know, some reach hundreds of people, some reach 5. And it's all depending on who wants to fool with me that week. And that seems ridiculous to keep doing that. But you know, have you ever tried to do what everyone else does and it just doesn't work? Like that's been me my whole life. I've tried to do what everyone else does. I've tried to, I have like 2-3 degrees. I have 3 degrees, bro. Like college degrees. I have 3 of them. And I could never find my place in the world. I could never find my place in society. No matter what I did, I applied for jobs, could not find a job. The jobs I get are they're appreciative jobs, right? They're appreciative gigs and people take care of me for whatever reason, but God has always maintained what I need. But at the end of the day, like I tried to be like them. I've tried to be even like, I'm not talking about the world so much as I'm talking about just functional people in society, right? Because how many Christians do we know that they're Christians, but they're functional members of society? And I got to be honest with you. There's been times I've been envious of them. Like, wow, look at them going on vacation and look at them like having family dinners and look at them doing A, B, and C and traveling and having mortgages. Having mortgages and car notes. I know it's not all cracked up to what it is supposed to be. I know it's not all cracked up to what it used to be and all that other stuff. I get that. I understand that. But still in that mindset, I get envious. I've gotten envious and I was like, man, I wish I can have that, the normal life. But then I shake it out of it and I'm like, I'd rather be in God's will and look crazy than something that God hasn't planned for me or it hasn't put in perspective for me. It's a really kind of tough surface to be at because when you live in the faith world where you rely on Jesus for everything, it's just that, right? You're relying on Jesus for everything. And I've had moments where I felt like it's crazy because if you feel like God forgot about you or he's upset with you, it's hard to live in that realm because and things don't go out the way you want it to be, you have to kind of process that as that's still part of faith, right? And not be so presumptuous to say, oh, God must not like me today, or I must have did something wrong. Like every day is not a pass fail with Jesus. He's not going to sit there and like, oh, I'm not going to love you because you fell today, or you didn't believe enough, or you doubted too much. I'm starting to realize that as much as I do have faith, I have just as much, if not more, doubt. Um, and God has still honored me in those stages where I've had doubt because it's not about me. I don't know how many times we got to say that on the show. It's not about you. It's not about what I can do. It's about what Jesus can do. And so many times we spend hours, days, years of our life thinking that this purpose that God has made me for is about me. It's never been about me. It's always been about him and walking in his freedom, walking in his glory, walking with him in glory and in freedom. And that how he gets all the glory of it. And then at the end of the day, your obedience is going to bring somebody else to salvation, right? Just think about if people around you that and you're coming up, right? I know for me, it's not just one thing that's um, is the catalyst to who I am today. It's not just one ministry or not one preacher, one church. It's a conglomerate of different ministries, different churches, different experiences. That if I didn't have that, I don't think I'd be the guy I am today. Like I think about the church I went to when I finally got serious about God. They're a church now. They're called Patriot. They're in Rancho Cucamonga, but before then they were Abundant Living Family Church. And when I got serious about God, that was my home church. And a lot of who I am today, a lot of what I'm building up to be, the person I'm called to be, came from there, right? And Pastor Diego, I was 17 and really was like, I'm really going after this God thing. But I know the history behind Abundant Living Family Church because around the same time, I decided I was going to follow God 100%. I'm going all in on this. I'm not going to back out. I'm not going to back down. As soon as I decided to do that, around that same time, Pastor Diego had planted or started Abundant Living, and he started it out of his house. It was a home church back in '95 that he started. My father, I got saved. I got serious a couple weeks after my dad got saved. My dad got saved Easter of '95. I believe it was his birthday, but don't quote me on that. But I do know it was Easter of '95 at the church that we were going to. I was like, I didn't like the dude. Like I could care less about him. And I remember the altar, and my parents were in a separation, and it got to the point where the altar call was coming at another church that not Abundant Living had launched yet. And I remember telling my dad, because my dad was trying to get back in with my mom. And I was mad because I didn't want that fool around. I didn't want that fool around. And I went to him and I was like, I remember whispering to him, like, bro, if you want to be back in the family, you gotta do this. And I walked him to the altar. And I remember it was funny because everybody applauded when I walked him to the altar. And I think they were thinking that we were both going because I wasn't completely there. So they were clapping because my dad was walking the altar, and I left him there. I walked him there and I walked off. I was like, nah, y'all got it. And he gave his life to God. And you know, it was kind of rough for a couple of weeks, but then he built a connection with Pastor Diego, and Pastor Diego ended up not so long after that starting his church at maybe I wasn't 17, maybe I was 16. He started the church his house, and my dad was like, listen, if y'all want me to he told my mom, I'm not going to continue going to this church. I want to go with Pastor Diego to that church. So if you want me to be a leader in this house, I'm going to this church. And then we had eventually have followed. But I think about there had to be struggles that Pastor Diego had to go through in playing that church. I was his first I was first teenager in the church. I was the only one. And I remember, like, my dad went to first service. There was 12 people there, and we may have came second or third. I showed up second or third, and I was the first teenager in the church. I don't think I was. Maybe I was, because I know that the Hernandez girls were there. I don't know if they were teenagers yet. They probably weren't teenagers yet. So I was the first teenager. And so Pastor Diego, who's very funny cat back in the day, he put me in his bedroom and put the old school Superbook. Did you ever watch the Superbook? The old school Superbook. It was like an anime Superbook, not like the one that they play now on CBN. This was like, or we play on HP. This was like 80s animation Superbook, and it was animation style. And he put me in his bedroom and put the video VCR on, and I watched Superbook. And that was youth. I remember after service, he said, "How did you like youth?" I was, it was great. And I watched Superbook. Anyways, but I think about, I don't know, because me and him, we were cool with each other. We wasn't close, but we was close. Especially in that stage, because we were so small. He never shared with me the struggles that could have been, that what it was to what it's become now. That was 31 years ago. I think they've just experienced their 30th anniversary, maybe 31st. But can you imagine if this dude had quit? If you're not in the Inland Empire, you don't know Abundant Living. But if you're in the Inland Empire, Abundant Living is probably one of the not fastest growing. It's one of the big mega churches in Rancho Cucamonga. It's absurdly huge. And you know them if you especially in the city. I just can't imagine what that ministry would have been like if he had quit, if he had stopped. I'm pretty sure there were nights where it looked bleak. I'm pretty sure there were days where he was like, I don't think we're going to make it past this. I think this Sunday might be our last Sunday. I'm pretty sure he had those thoughts, because there's no way in the realm of building anything do you not have those moments where you go, this might be the last set. This might be the last song. This might be the last hurrah. And I know that he may have thought that thing through, but God still muscled through. I remember moving from the house to the school. We were at the school for a good 2 years or something like that. And I remember moving from school to Utica. And then Utica, it blossomed from just one building in Utica to like a whole sect. And then next you know, we had 2 sections of the whole business park. Next you know, we were running the whole business park. So, and to this day, I think they still own the business park. So by him, I can guarantee you, bro, like sometimes we look at companies of where they're at now, or businesses or ministries. When we look at where they're at now, we fail to understand that maybe that's not how it wasn't as simple as, hey, we've just been successful. We've been batting 1,000 for 20, 30, 40 years. No, every company has got structure. I even think every company comes to a fork in the road where they go, do we keep this thing going or do we just let it go? And I feel like that's what it was. Now imagine, thousands of people have been blessed by Abundant Living. And not only that, I think my homeboy Tremel, who planted a church in Texas, myself, Carla, you've seen Carla on the show several times. Many people part of the Heritage Park family, like Christina, my sisters, who have all gone out and ventured away from Abundant Living and now doing other things. And I even think about Pastor Mark Graham, who started Abundant Living High Desert, and all these different things that have been affected today that people are experiencing now, like even you watching this podcast, like none of this would ever be here if Pastor Diego wasn't continually being obedient, putting his eyes to the ground or his heart to the sky, and continue to push that plow and make that thing work. You never know the vastness of who you're affecting. Another person that has been a very effective person in my upbringing is this man named Lloyd Ziegler. I've tried to get him on my show. He doesn't want to come on the show. I shouldn't say that just in case he hears it. I invited him once and he said no. So there's that. He started a ministry called Master's Commission. And I'll tell you what, people, Master's Commission was a discipleship program. It is a discipleship program where young people outside of the age of high school, kind of like Acquire the Fire and stuff like that, they take 1 year of their life and they devote it to the ministry and becoming a disciple of Christ. Now, that's what it was meant to be. Now, many people who have experienced it have not the same experience I had. Like there's people who've gone and said that they've had horrible experiences, have blamed them for everything that's wrong in their life. They've like, I can't keep a marriage, and it's because of the trust I've experienced that was broken. And people say that it was a cult and stuff like that. You know what? I'm just going to be real. That wasn't my experience. I do believe that there were some leadership issues, but I'm learning as an adult. There are going to be leadership issues everywhere you go, right? Even Disneyland got leadership problems, especially now. So that's not, just because you have human issues within a corporation doesn't mean the corporation is not meant to last or not meant to be there. Anyways, that's another part of my upbringing. Once I went to ministry, once I went to that church at 17, I was hardcore and I was there for a couple years. I remember going to junior college. I remember graduating high school at that church, Abundant Living, and I went to junior college for 2 years and was kind of just like, whatever. And Pastor Diego gave me the opportunity. He says, why don't you go check this thing out? And it was Master's Commission. And I was like, And he was like, what if I, pay for your first year? And I was like, And thank God he was persistent. I remember he laughed when I told him. Pastor Diego laughed and he said, what do you think? You should go and grow closer to God? And I said, I'll pray about it. And he laughed. And he said, that's the whole reason you need to go, because you don't pray. It's like he called me to the carpet, like, you're going to pray. All right. This is the whole point of going, so you can pray. And God is not going to let your year, that your gift to him, go in vain. And I ended up being there for 2 years. And they had to send my black behind out. They had to be like, you got to go. And I left the program kicking and screaming like, I want to stay here forever. And they wouldn't let me. So they sent my black behind back to California. But I tell you, the things I learned in those 2 years, man, like, I just like, wow. And this ministry was at the time, it was like YWAM. And it wasn't like Acquire the Fire. Acquire the Fire, I think, and YWAM kind of ventured off of what Master's Commission was. But I will say this, the initial idea, because it started in 84, the initial idea was Christians having a avenue just like Mormon young people. And it was unheard of. And it was ridiculed by many people, still to this day, very ridiculed, because people had bad experiences, whatever. But people ridiculed it and stuff like that. People laughed at it, didn't think it was a good idea. When I went, there wasn't a lot of these programs across the country, but throughout the years, it just started to grow and manifest and became this big ministry that just flourished. Did it hurt people? It sure did. It sure jacked up people. But I just imagine if Lloyd had quit because this thing is too hard. I know for a fact, because I ran one myself. A couple years later, I ran my own Master's Commission. Mine was Portland Metro, that I eventually moved to the IE and became IEMC. But we were Portland Metro Master's Commission, and we moved for 3.5 years. And then we came down here and became Inland Empire Master's Commission for 3.5 years. I could tell you right now, there were nights where I just laid in bed like, shoot, I'm about to shut this joint down. So I know if I had that problem, or if I had those nights, if I had those struggles, then I know Lloyd Ziegler, who's the not the founder, but he was the president at the time. And even currently, I think he still runs the one that, just the one that's left. I know he had moments where he just laid in bed and was like, God, is this something you want me to keep doing? So listen, if it wasn't for those two men who just, were they perfect? No. Do I have a relationship with them now? Neither one of them? No. There was some hurt and there were some things going on with both of them. But listen, because they're men and they weren't God, that's the reason why, things happen the way they do. People are going to make mistakes. Your pastor is going to eventually make a mistake if he hasn't already made them. And I'm pretty sure he's already made them. He's going to make more because that's what people do. People make mistakes. You make mistakes, but your mistakes don't mean that you should quit. Your mistakes doesn't mean you should stop. Your mistakes doesn't mean anything. Your mistakes mean, hey, you're not God, you're human, and you made a bad decision, or you made a bad choice, or something bad just happened. That doesn't mean you quit, right? If these two ministries had quit, there's no Heritage Park. Absolutely. There's no HP. There's no Rapping Ramon. There's none of the albums, because everything I learned, I got from watching these other men, these great men. And I'm gonna give them their flowers, bro. These are great men. It takes a great man and woman to, in the process of struggles and battles, to keep moving forward. That's the battle of great people. That's the battle of great men. If you want to learn to become great, overcome. Wow, that's good. If you want to be great, overcome. Yo, I used to spend hours editing reels. One episode of Epic Thoughts, which was running about an hour, would take me almost a day and a half to come up with reels, to find the reels, to cut them, to put word on them, to put subtitles on it, to put B-roll. It would take forever, and it was exhausting. Man, I already recorded an hour worth of podcasting too, and it would take forever. Then I came across Taja.ai. Yo, it's an AI software that basically takes your long form and turns it to your reels and all the other content you need for your social media pages. It's that simple. You upload it, you click the button, go get a cup of coffee. When you come back, it can have anywhere between 5 to 40 different reels and content ideas just off of your one long form video. It's great. And they're one of our sponsors for Epic Thoughts. Listen, I love Taja.ai. It's so easy to use. And it also gives you a score telling you which post would be more engaging on which page. It does all the thinking for you. It's great. So try it. There's a link in the description below. Try Taja.ai. You are not going to be disappointed. It even does, it takes your long form, makes it into short form. It creates reels. It even does your blog. It makes a blog out for you. Even posts for your X pages and your LinkedIn page. It's so great. All right. Yo, give Taja.ai a chance. If you're making podcasts and you're trying to shave some time off from the ridiculous hours of editing, try Taja.ai. The link is in the description. Have a great day. Back to the podcast. I feel like this might not be for everybody, because some of you probably do need to quit. Some of you, maybe your skill set is not in the right place, or maybe your heart's not in it. Or maybe you're just like, your business is a complete vain project, right? Maybe you're not even in doing God's will. If you feel like you're not in God's will, that's a sign to quit. If there's other options, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a fine line for this. There's a fine line for quitters, because I don't believe in quitting, but I believe in quitting, if that makes sense. Like, if there's other things you can be doing, you can be successful today. There may be a quit in you. My friend, my homeboy Doug, is incredible. He's a multi-million-dollar businessman, health coach. He's just killing the game. However, he wouldn't got here if he hadn't quit. He quit his business, a furniture selling business, maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, something like that. He wouldn't have got here if he hadn't quit that one thing. So there is guidance and stuff. Some maybe you just need to find guidance. But I'm gonna tell you what, even when my homeboy quit, to do what he does now and expect to get this far and this rich and this influential, he would never have guessed that. And I guarantee you that even during the journey to get to where he's at today, he had some hard times and wanted to quit. You're not going to win your first time up. You're not going to win your second time up. You may not win your fourth, fifth, 30th time up. But if you still got that in you, if you still got that dog in you, and you still got that bounce back, we used to call it bounce back in the day when I was a youth pastor. We had this whole series called Bounce Back. Life is full of struggles, battles. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to get angry. You can be upset, pushback, no's, letdowns. All that stuff don't matter. What matters is how do you bounce back? Are you going to bounce back? How much do you believe in this? How much do you believe in what you're doing? Do you believe in what you're doing? If you don't believe in what you're doing, stop doing it. And here's the deal. And I'm pretty sure my homie, when he quit selling furniture, he was like, I don't care about another ottoman. I don't sell another ottoman to save my life. That wasn't his passion. His passion was always to help people. That was always his passion. I knew him before he even started that business. That was his passion, was to help people. And now he's helping people, doing pretty good for himself. I have a passion in the arts and the media, and you know, sometimes we get to this, we start getting to our own head, and not only am I okay, I'm doing okay, I can do better if I stop doubting, right? Comparison, like I share all the time on this podcast, comparison is the killer of purpose, right? It's the killer purpose. You think you got it together. If you ain't got, like, if you start comparing yourself to anybody, it's like, well, I'm not nowhere near where Angel Studios is. Heritage Park is nowhere near Angel Studios. Yeah, we don't know that. We don't know, first of all, we don't know the battles that they went through over at Angel Studios to be where they are. Fish and Loaves is another one. Fish and Loaves is the company that actually produces the Chosen series. We don't know what kind of hangups Dallas Jenkins had when he did the Chosen. Like, do you know how many struggles and how many companies have? Pureflix is another competitor of HP's. I don't know what they went through. I don't know the battles that they faced and how hard it was to take on. And I really don't have a grasp of how long they've been in business before they became Pureflix that we know about. The same with Angel Studios. The same with, we live in a society that we see companies most of the time, they've already exploded. But for whatever company that you see online today that looks like they're killing the game and they're exploding, I guarantee you there is years of trial and error behind that. There is years of, we almost had it, but we failed again. I think of the stories of Disneyland when they opened up. How long ago was that? Was it 70 years? Has Disneyland been open 70 years? I think because 53 or 63. 50, I think they're in 70. I think they're in their 70th year. Anyways, I remember stories hearing about Disneyland. I'm just looking it up real quick. Disneyland, how Disneyland 70. Yeah, this is their 70th year. I thought so. This is their 70th year. I remember when they opened up that they had like a zoo, and I think the biggest ride they had was maybe the carousel and maybe a couple of boats. But what I remember is that none of the attractions worked, right? They had problems throughout the whole park. None of the attractions worked. Nothing went right. Basically, nothing went right. And can you imagine having this big, huge dream? Like, I want a park that adults can bring their family to and have an experience with. And you spend your life earnings and your life savings. You pour your heart, your sweat, and your tears into this bad boy. And you buy land in Anaheim, California, Orchard Fields, and you put all this effort. You have the president showing up. All of Orange County is there. The governor of California and Pirates of the Caribbean is broke. Their Ferris wheel don't work at all. The president puts their daughter. I don't know who the president was. I think it may have been. No, I don't know who the president was, but like the president puts their daughter on the merry-go-round, and the merry-go-round just sits there. Like, that's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's got to be frustrating too. And it's like, oh, I did all this work and it's all in vain. You know what? It's never going to be in vain. Do you know you're the only one that's got the vision you got at the uniqueness of it? And it's fine. It's fine if it fails day one. I've had so many projects that did well, but I've had a lot more that failed day one, day three. I had projects that I thought were going to hit, didn't hit. And I've had projects where I would swear they would hit, didn't hit. To the point where there was moments in my life where I was fearful to even do anything anymore. But we can't do that to ourselves anymore. We can't. We just can't, because you can't quit, man. The purpose, like, can you imagine if Disney goes, if Walt Disney said, man, this was bad. This was bad. We can't do this again. Problems opening day at Disneyland. Let's look at it real quick. Oh, man. Okay, so Disneyland opened July 17th, 1955. The day was chaotic due to counterfeit tickets, 100-degree heat wave, and rides breaking down. Mark Twain riverboat nearly sunk, melting asphalt, food running out, plumber strike that left drinking fountains dry, and a gas leak that closed areas of the park. This is day one. Wow. This is day one of Disneyland. Can you imagine that you put your heart, sweat, and soul into this project and it failed like this miserably? That's opening day. And it was also overcrowded because an estimated 28,000 people attended, which is a big deal in 1955. Attended the invitation-only event, nearly double the expected 15,000, largely due to counterfeit tickets. So 28,000 people showed up to an invite where only 15,000 were invited. Only 15,000 were invited and 28,000 showed up. The temperature reached 100 degrees, causing issues such as fresh asphalt melting and guests becoming dehydrated since drinking fountains were not working. The Mark Twain riverboat was overloaded and began to sink. The fresh asphalt on Main Street melted, trapping women's heels. So women's heels were trapped in the asphalt. Some rides like Rocket to the Moon and Dumbo were not ready or broke down. A gas leak in Fantasyland caused the area and others to shut down for a time. Restaurants and refreshment stands ran out of food and drinks quickly. Plumber strike meant Walt Disney had to choose between working drinking fountains or working toilets, and he chose to prioritize the toilets. So he had to choose between drinking fountains or toilets. It's crazy. A massive traffic jam developed on the Santa Ana Freeway with a backup reaching 7 miles. Yo. The overall chaos was exacerbated. The overall chaos was exacerbated because the park wasn't built to handle the massive influx of guests. And due to rush constructions, workers covered some weeds with signs with Latin names to make them look like an exotic. Read that again. Due to rush construction, workers covered some weeds with signs with Latin names to make them look like an exotic botanical garden. This is day one of Disneyland. It sounds like a mess, and it was. But you know what? Walt Disney had this I'm not going to quit attitude. He foresaw something in his mind, and he decided, I'm going to keep moving. They were open the next day. They kept pushing. If he can do it, you can do it. I know you may not have had a bad day like July of 1955. You may have had it worse. But the average person would see that and say, oh, then he's not supposed to have this day. This is a mess. The fact that they came back next day and they tried it again, and they tried it again, and they did it again. They fixed the problems. And bro, today it's Disneyland, and there's nuances of behavior of feelings, emotions dedicated to Disneyland. But I'm saying that could be you. You may have had a bad day just like this July in 1955 and think, well, I guess it's not meant to happen. What a tragedy. Or you can say, I can learn. One thing I remember learning at Abundant Living, that in life there's no mistakes, there's only lessons. Right? We learn lessons. We don't have mistakes. We learn lessons. I remember my football coach used to tell us, which we never lost, but even if we did lose, he said, there's no failure in sports. I remember hearing Giannis Antetokounmpo say, there's no failure in sports, right? Most losses are not predetermined. Most losses are because you've ran out of time. Think about it. We've seen teams come back from being down and win games, but the game is not decided until that clock hits 0. So you can be up by 10, you can be down by 10, you can be down by 20. We've seen basketball teams come down by 20 and win games. We've seen football games. We saw this year, we've had a couple games already this year where a team was down by multiple touchdowns in the fourth quarter, came back and won the game. They wouldn't win the game if the clock was shorter. If it was longer, who knows if your team that lost this week would have won if they had another 10 minutes. Time determines the immediate win and loss, but think about it. It's not a failure even if you lost, because you get to play next week. You get to learn. You get to lick your wounds and you get to try again. And that's what I want to encourage you to do today. If you failed at that business and you still feel passionate about it, bro, lick your wounds. Try again. You're better now than you were before. You lost before, but you can win today. There's no mistakes. There's only lessons. L's, many people call L's losses. I call them lessons. I take lessons. I learned a lot of lessons. I'm a lot smarter today than I was 5 years ago because of losses. I know how to deal with people a little bit better because I dealt with people back in 19 and 18 and 20. And I take that to all the hits I've taken. I know how to do legal things now that I didn't know how to do before when it comes to music. I know how to clear samples now because I had to take hits. Take hits with one of my projects. Got to take a massive hit and got not sued, but I got a warning letter from a certain individual because I didn't clear a sample. But those are good things. Those are good things because that means your stuff is out there. People are responding to it, and your name is brought up into rooms that you're not in. Those are good things. That means people are starting to see you as you wanted to be seen. And you may have enemies. That's fine if you have enemies. They see you how you wanted to be seen. People will look up to you. That's fine too. They see you the way they want you, the way you want to be seen. Lick your wounds and try again. Yeah? Is that good? He's giving me the thumbs up. That means it's good. HeritageParkProd.com. That's the website. HeritageParkProd.com. That's the website. We're getting close to holiday season, and so we're going to be starting our Black Friday sale coming in soon. It will start on Black Friday, and we're trying to get our merch. We got some new stuff to get. We got a couple new books, and we want to produce or acknowledge, I should say. But here's my special announcement, and this will start to be showing us a commercial too. Heritage Park is back on Zoom. Excuse me, not Zoom. Oh, I screwed it up. Heritage Park is back on school. We started doing school at the beginning of the year, and it was just so cost effective. It wasn't cost us. It was burning cash to be on Zoom, on school. And now they've changed their system, and so we're going to give it another shot. So Heritage Park is back on school. And so if you want to get more in-depth information, you want to be with us more, we talk a little bit more about where we're at as a network, as a business, and things like that. We have Bible studies on there. We have different things that we're going to start adding in there, message boards, one-on-ones. You have preview of projects that no one else will see, that we won't put or we can't put on YouTube. Like, we have projects in the platform, but we can't put, because if we put something on, we got music connected to it and we get demonetized, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, it's going to be on school. So it's going to be for the rest of this year, all the way up until December 31st. Anybody who wants to join Heritage Park on school, you can join for free. It's a free membership starting today, all the way to the end of the year. January 1st, we will have a subscription base, and I think it'll be something minimal, like $9 a month or something like that. But it's not going to be pricey. We're going to keep it really low so you can still be part of the Heritage Park family. And you get to see some of the projects that we're working on. We have some AI created trailers that are really cool. They kind of give us like a vision board of what we're looking for different projects and stuff like that, looks and things of that nature. So make sure you join us. We're going to be on school. The link is going to be in the description for school. So we have 3 links that you could choose from. We have StreamYard, we have Taja.ai, and then school. Join us on school. You can join for free all the way up until the end of the year. All right. Yo, I think that's it we got for today, man. Epic thoughts on a Wednesday. We got epic thoughts on a Wednesday. What you doing? Epic thoughts on a Wednesday, cuz. All right. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful week, man. We pray for you. Hope that your week goes well. Have a great time. Don't quit. Bounce back. All right.